Good evening, Team Second Grade. I'm Miss Holden, and I wanted to welcome you to my curriculum night. I have an appointment this evening, so I'm unable to host like live sessions, but I will have space and time available for you to email me. Actually, it'll be in the form of probably a Google document where you can write up any questions and concerns that you might have that maybe I didn't answer in this video, and I'd love to respond and answer those questions for you. So we're going to go ahead and just hop right in and get started. Let's see if this will, perfect, okay. So let's see, KTA is what's called a PBIS school, which is positive behavior interventions, which basically means like positive reinforcement is shown over and over and over again by multiple studies to be a more effective behavior deterrent than punitive ones. So I am part of the PBIS team that we have at KTA, which means I attend regular meetings with other PBIS team members that are at KTA. And what we try to do is try to find fun ways to implement positive reinforcement school-wide. So we have these posters posted around the entire school, inside, outside. You may hear your student talk about like the 3 Bs. Well, 2020 is, as you know, a very exceptional year. We've also added a 4th B. So the original 3 Bs were be respectful, be responsible, and be safe. The 4th one that we added this year was be kind. So the idea is these are the most basic level expectations that we have of our students at Kyrene Traditional Academy. And when we see these students following these rules or being exceptional in these areas, we want to find ways to reward them. And oftentimes we can make a big giant list of things not to do, but it is easier for students to remember what the expectation is instead of what the expectation is not. Oftentimes the expectations of what is not allowed is much longer and much more lengthy for them to remember. So we just focus on the positive and what the expectation is, and then oftentimes that is followed through on more than we have to remember a list of 300 things that we just can't do. And also, if we think of 300 things that we can't do, like school just doesn't seem like a super fun place. And that's definitely not what we want. So these are our 4 Bs. I wonder if this weird screen sharing thing is going to show up on my video. I hope it's not. I hope it's not too goofy looking. So some ways that we encourage good behavior are verbal praise. I don't do table points so much in my classroom. When we go back in person, I am a huge fan of classroom money. We have like a classroom money menu that students every Friday, they can turn in their dollars and purchase something. Those little passes, those classroom passes are things like read your favorite book aloud to the class, or prize box is like a big one for 2nd grade. Lunch with the teacher. There are some no homework passes, but those need to be approved by me before they utilize them, or oftentimes come with some fine print. Let's see, what else do I have for classroom passes? Oh, stinky feet, where like they can spend the time inside the classroom without their shoes on. Like kids love stinky feet. They love the stinky feet pass. So yeah, the classroom money, and I'll reward them with money for little things, big things. There are various increments of money like we have, so it's also a little bit educational because I'm a nerd and I'm like, what ways can I encourage teaching through all of this? So the denominations of currency that we have in our classroom are exactly the same as we have in America. which is also helpful because we do work a lot with money in second grade math. So in addition to verbal praise, classroom money, we've got principal's lunch, which means that 2 students from every classroom are rewarded every month with going up on the stage in the cafeteria and eating lunch with Dr. Lesher. Toby, I don't think right now is a really good time to do that because I'm doing a presentation. I can help you with it, but I don't think I can help you right now. So you can try to figure it out, but I'm just worried that that handle is going to come and slap my computer, or it might slap me in the face. So can you go somewhere else and try to do it? Thanks, bud. Sorry. So those students are rewarded with having lunch with Dr. Lesher, and then there's also like a school store coupon along with it. So we used to have like 3 Bs, those were the coupons. We're going from Bs to Tigers because we're KTA Tigers. I'm personally a really big fan of Bs, so I'm trying really hard to just be okay with this big change, but it'll be fine. So when you trade in 25 of your Tiger Paw coupons, you will get a certificate of recognition for morning announcements, 3 morning announcements, and you also earn $1 to the school store. School store, pre-COVID times, was a cart full of little things like pencil bags, erasers, rulers, like some like Slinkies, probably, maybe some bouncy balls, some cool fun things that you could probably find at Oriental Training or the dollar store that kids like loved going outside and choosing off of the cart. What that looks like post-COVID times, I'm not so sure. It might be a case, it might be pictures that students choose from, and then those prizes are delivered to them. And then also Fun Friday activities, which we will get to in a bit. So in the elementary level, we are doing Tiger Paw coupons, and then for middle school, we're doing Tiger Stripes. So here are examples of teacher responses to unwanted or undesirable behaviors in the classroom. First incident, we reteach and correct the correct behavior and then redirect the student with a verbal warning. The second incident of a behavior will again reteach the correct behavior, and then student conference with reflection, which basically means I would hand out behavior reflection sheets where they could write, this is what did happen, this is how I was feeling, next time what I need to do is yada yada yada. And then usually there's a picture along with it, because I think that oftentimes when we draw things, it's a lot easier for us to express how we're feeling, especially when we're in second grade. And so sometimes I'll have them draw, and then I can fill in the writing part for them, or part of the writing part. The third incident will reteach. There will be, it says consequence and a call home. Again, like being a part of the PBIS team, negative consequences are something that are not part of my personal teaching philosophy. So I will try to find like a natural consequence, or a consequence that like fits the crime, so to speak. Like I had a student last year that was like flinging food in the cafeteria, and after like 2 days of talking to him about this, it just wasn't hitting home. So I called parents and I said, hey, this is what I was thinking. What do you think? How do you feel about him taking the rest of the week and helping wipe down and sweep up underneath the tables after lunch for a few days? And they were totally on board with that. He did not like it so much, but I mean, I feel like if you're gonna make a mess, then you need to be responsible for that mess and clean it up. So I feel like that kind of consequence fits the crime, so to speak. And then the fourth incident, it says administration involvement. Rarely do we have incidences that require admin to come handle it. Those typically are extreme cases of behaviors, and really admin looks to us as teachers to kind of be the first, second, and third line of defense. It's important to me that I figure out what a student needs in order to be proactive as opposed to reactive. And so administration involvement is something, again, that just isn't super common, with the exception of, like, if there are extreme behaviors, then we need to have a have a meeting with admin and parents. So here are some steps that we might use for refocusing a student. I am not the teacher that has a behavior card or a clip up, clip down chart. What in-person behavior reflection looks like to me is we have specific goals that we choose to work on every day. And I'm trying to find a way to implement this in our classroom environment. It's just really hard because I feel like I'm always running out of time. But basically the way that I run refocusing is we choose something each day that we want to work on, whether it be impulse control, gratitude, kindness, grit, compassion, empathy, and then that's our focus for the day. If there's an incident that happens, so for example, pretend that my clip is on grit, and I am, like, my goal today is just work really hard to, like, persevere through challenges, and maybe that is my goal for the day, but I have had, like, really rough hands with another kid. Obviously that's not acceptable, and sometimes grit, like, that just doesn't correlate to using kind hands and finding ways to, like, control my impulses. So usually what that looks like for me is I will have a conversation with the student and say, hey, what's your focus today? And my second grade self would say, my focus today is grit. And my teacher self would say, so is there a way that you can use grit to solve this problem of you, having trouble controlling your hands around other kids? And ideally, like, in a perfect world, my second grader self would say, no, I can't. I need to move my clip to impulse control. And it takes a ton of practice. But I implemented this strategy probably mid-year last year, and I saw so many changes in behavior because I used to have like behavior chart, like the red, yellow, green. And when I decided to go forward with this really big change in my classroom, because I hated it. Like, I hated it. I hated telling kids, you have to pull a card. Like, I'm done. Go pull your card. It shames them in front of the whole class, and it just does not, like, they don't feel good about it. I don't feel good about it. The rest of the class doesn't feel good about it. What other chores do you have to do? Okay, I want you to do 20 minutes of reading first, please. Thank you. So I made this really big change, and the way I presented it to my kids was, there's something that is hanging up on my wall in my classroom, and I don't like how it makes me feel, and I don't like how it makes you feel, and I'm going to get rid of it. What do you think it is? And they all knew right away that it was the behavior chart. So anyway, that's kind of how I run refocusing in my room. The other teachers have a different strategy, and, like, that's their choice. So Fun Friday, guys. Fun Friday is like, we've worked hard all week and we are ready to ready to jump into the weekend. So the last 30 to 45 minutes of the day on Friday, students will get to participate in a fun activity. This currently interferes with, like, our specials time. So right now, because I'm in charge of showing them the PE exercises, I have a little bit of flexibility there. Once we do move in person, our special schedule may end up changing. So the last 30 minutes of the day on Friday, they'll be able to participate in an activity. It is really important that students complete homework, classwork, or reflect on their behavior prior to Fun Friday. And then once we're in person, we can always use donations of like snacks for Fun Friday. Usually what that looks like is pre-COVID times. I feel bad being like pre-COVID times. These are all the fun things we can do. Right now in my classroom and virtually, what it means is I tell them you can go on to Clever and choose an application, whether it be PBS Kids, Prodigy, which is math games, Epic, which is reading, Rivet, which is more reading, Brain Pop, which is still kind of learning, but also videos. Or we like to watch a lot of Wild Kratts. It's just kind of this nerdy thing about me is that I really love animals and learning about animals and science. So they either watch Wild Kratts on my Zoom screen or they're still connected to Zoom, but they hop onto Clever and do their own Fun Friday choice. Once we're back in person, we can touch base on the dress code a little bit more. As of right now, because we are digital, my personal request is that you do have your child have some sort of morning routine to get them in the mindset to get ready for school. I tell my kids that they all have to wear their uniforms. They don't like it, but also establishing that kind of routine of like getting ready for the day when you're virtual helps get them in the mindset and have them, ready to learn. So these, again, like our specials schedule may change. I wish I had more answers for you as far as like, what does library look post-COVID times? And as soon as I do have that information, and once we do go back in person, then I will absolutely have that information. I will share it with you. Lunch and snacks. So if once we're on campus, please make sure that you get to school early enough to have enough time to eat before the bell. We do have lunch at 11:15. We have recess at 11:50, lunch at 11:15, and then another recess at 12:25. So there should really be no snacking going on during those, in between those times. I totally understand that like sometimes things happen in the morning and a lot of those things are like tiny human things that you don't have control over. I get that, absolutely. However, I can't have your kids just eating cereal in front of everyone every morning or eating bacon and eggs every morning during learning time, because it's distracting to the kids, the other kids on Zoom. And like, if we were in a classroom, I would not allow, like a buffet to enter the classroom and have your child pick off the buffet to eat while everyone else is learning. So, so again, I understand that things happen. I can be flexible with breakfast. We have a break 2 hours into the day that they could have a snack. We have lunch 2 hours, less than 2 hours after that, where they can eat. And then literally like 30 to 45 minutes, about 35 minutes after we get back from lunch, we have another recess. So there should really be no eating during virtual learning time. Last but not least, my first year at KTA, I say I got in a lot of trouble. What happened was parents just kept like sneaking in birthday treats, and they're like, oh, this is their Fun Friday snack, but it'd be like cupcakes and like balloons. And so finally the front office was like, hey, Miss Holden, so like we have this district policy We can't do birthday treats. We can't do birthday invitations. It's not a KTA thing, like it's a district thing. What you can do to help celebrate your child on their special day, which I get it, like we have 6 kids, they are all important. And I understand the importance of recognizing them on their birthday. You can like send in little goodie bags. I've had parents do that before. That's been really successful. So we'll talk about in-person stuff when we go back in person. Okay, so Spalding. So our main resource for teaching Common Core reading standards is Spalding. So we get into text structure, and we have, in addition to that, we have weekly stories with vocabulary instruction to help improve and build on that comprehension piece. We use Spalding to help increase fluency, which is the speed, accuracy, and expression that students use while they read. And we have leveled books in class to help teacher-guided reading groups. So Spalding basically helps teach phonemic awareness. It is phonics taught alongside handwriting. So Spalding's big thing, like their big motto is basically like multi-sensory learning. Okay, so there's like the auditory piece where you hear phonograms being said, you hear words being spoken, you speak them yourself, so there's that verbal piece, and then it is taught alongside handwriting for that kinesthetic part. Spelling rules can be found on the KTA website. We practice writing spelling words in our Spalding notebook. In 2nd grade, we typically, even though like our days this year so far have been a little wonky, we'll enter 20 words per week, or we test on 20 words, we enter 30. So we'll enter 30 words per week for exposure purposes, and then we'll test on the first 20. So really quick, I sent our weekly spelling list along with our newsletter. I should probably put them on my website. I'll write that down. This notebook is strictly for Spalding words. Your 2nd grader knows that. Their handwriting does not need to be perfect, but it should be as close to perfect as they are like capable of doing. This is like my best teacher handwriting, and the only way that I ever get this handwriting is because I take the time to do it, and I am really slow and I try my personal best. My handwriting otherwise looks like this. So, and that's what I tell the kids. I'm like, this is my mom handwriting. This is my teacher handwriting. So, and part of that is the focus part, like, because when we're focused on handwriting and that's all we're thinking about, and we're very mindful of the letters that we're putting in, it's going to help solidify that learning of how words are spelled and how we decode them, instead of if we just scribble something down on a page. All right, so I skipped over junior grade books because we use those in person. Online, our major reading resources are Epic, Amplify, Rivet, and Scholastic. So in the Kyrene School District, we use really great curriculum, which is CKLA, which stands for Core Knowledge Language Arts. It is a really great program. I've taught at other schools that use other programs, and they're not terrible, but I just love the diversity that CKLA provides. especially considering KTA is like one of the most diverse schools in the entire state of Arizona. So, so I love that we've adopted this curriculum. This curriculum, CKLA, focuses mainly on the listening and speaking pieces because we use Spalding for the reading and writing. So really, in other Kyrene schools, there's two pieces of CKLA. CKLA skills, which is like the phonics piece, and then CKLA listening and speaking. We don't use skills at KTA because we've adopted Spalding. So we just use CKLA for the listening and speaking pieces, which are the stories that we listen to at the end of the day. I introduce vocabulary, we read a story. They don't read anything. I'm the one that's doing all the reading, they're just listening. And then I ask them comprehension questions, different kinds of comprehension questions at the end of the lesson. And then I usually send them off to do some sort of independent work to follow up and solidify that learning. So the CKLA also, it incorporates various domains in literature, American world history, and the sciences. So it also provides us with like that social studies and science pieces that we need for our state standards. So some of the units that we will breeze through this year are, we just finished up our fairy tales and fall tales, which is super fun. We've moved on to early Asian civilizations, which is a really cool unit, where we will then move on to ancient Greek civilizations and Greek myths. Then we get like super nerdy, like I like nerd out over the insects unit, the War of 1812, the westward expansion, the US Civil War, the human body, cycles in nature. And there's actually more units that sometimes, because we get so busy toward the end of the year, that we are unable to get to, but I'm hoping because of the structure and routine of online learning that we're able to breeze through this first half of CKLA units really quickly. For math, the three main resources that we use for math are first iReady, which I'm sure you've heard of. This is new as of a couple of years ago that Kyrene adopted for their math resources. So most of your homework or your students' homework in math will be either from iReady or from Freckle to practice math facts. So Saxon's math, we don't use so much online, but that is the math facts practice piece. And then also like daily math journals, which are just basically like spiral math, where we talk a little bit about everything to kind of solidify that learning. Instead of like, once you learn how to use the clock, we want to continue to build on that knowledge instead of like knowing just the basics and then leave that alone for the rest of the year. So the last part of math is CGI, which stands for cognitively guided instruction. So we focus primarily on problem solving using word problems, story problems, and encouraging higher level strategies that are built on a child's basic mathematical knowledge. So this is where like CGI and iReady work really well together, because iReady uses a lot of word problems already, and implementing that dialogue of, hey, this is the strategy that I used. So CGI just really builds on that. The very last thing is at the bottom of the slide, it says, please avoid using algorithms, which means borrowing and carrying. I have maybe additional thoughts on that. I think that if you have worries about math, then your best bet is to not say anything at all and email me. Because some students will like totally rise to the occasion and they understand the concepts of borrowing and carrying. Other students, it just confuses them. And so now they're trying to wrap their head around 3 different strategies of how to add or subtract with multi-digit numerals, instead of really hammering home on 2. So, but again, there are those other kids that totally get it. So if you have any interest in teaching your kid what borrowing and carrying is, just if you wouldn't mind to please email me first, and then that way I can give you my thoughts. And then you can decide to take my thoughts and use them, or you can decide, nope, I'm going to teach them this, whatever, Miss Bolden, and that's fine too. Okay, so what we focus on primarily for writing is narratives and friendly letters. Those are the 2 we primarily focus on in 2nd grade. The other ones, informatives or informative narratives, we don't really get into too much as far as writing goes. Our writing process is the same as in 1st grade. So we brainstorm to come up with ideas. We'll do a rough draft, we'll edit, and we'll do a final copy. Let's see. So again, back to the social studies and science part of things. We use Harcourt primarily for science and FOSS. So we will learn about the weather, solids, liquids, and gases, insects, and the human body. The social studies, we primarily use Harcourt and CKLA. I would say CKLA more than Harcourt. So we'll talk about branches of government, maps and landforms, early America, like the Civil War, the westward expansion, and immigration, and then ancient civilizations and the contributions that they've made to our society today. Then let's move on to homework. So at this point, like, I'm not assigning a ton of homework because I feel like we are sitting down in front of screens doing Zoom meetings for literally like 6 hours of the day. What I would like to do is I would like to have certain days be certain subjects for homework. And again, what I would like to do and then what actually happens might be 2 different things. But on our Google Classroom page, at the very top of the page, I pinned a topic that is homework. So if you ever have questions about homework moving forward, what I would advise you to do is to hop onto Google Classroom, because I hate sending out more than an email a day. I hate sending out an email a day because I feel like my inbox is flooded. So I'm sure that yours probably is too. Anyway, so to avoid all of that, but then also trying to figure out like how an agenda would work online, which is usually what we do in person. It might make the most sense for us right now to just have Mondays be this kind of practice, Tuesdays be this, Wednesdays, and so on. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. In addition to that, ideally, your child will be reading for 20 minutes a day and studying spelling words. The studying spelling words thing, I don't have an expectation for that to be done daily. If anything, I would fit it into like one of those weekly practice days. Probably Thursdays to gear up for the test on Friday. And then math facts, of course, because the more we build fluency in math, the easier math is just going to be for us later on. So our spelling tests are online in a Google form. We are required to do 1 recitation a piece per quarter. We are nixing that for 1st quarter, obviously. We may pick it up in 2nd quarter. And what that looks like for online is probably I'll send out recitations, and we'll spend some time at the end of the day having each student go over them. Let's see. A lot of that doesn't really apply to us because we're digital. So, oh, all of the pieces that we have for recitations, like quarter one and quarter two are pretty easy. They all rhyme. Actually, I think all of them rhyme. Maybe not all of them, but there's at least one in each recitation piece, or out of the selections that you can make, there's always one that rhymes. So what we would like to see from a child practicing or doing a recitation is proper proper body language. So like we know that, like that you're the speaker and everyone else knows that you're the speaker. Using an appropriate voice level. And to be completely honest with you, like being a huge introvert myself, especially in the elementary years, I am absolutely okay. Like if your student just has that kind of really introverted and quiet personality, then I am more than willing to make exceptions for them to look at notes that they might have, or the actual piece, even if they hold it, even if they're not looking at it. Sometimes just holding it and knowing like, hey, if I get stuck on this word, it's right here and I won't, and I will be safe, and everything is going to be fine. Most of the time that alone helps. Okay, so we can talk about drop off and dismissal, but I'm not going to spend a ton of time on it. So basically 7:10, the bell will ring, and that is when it's okay for your child to open the door and hop out. At morning drop off, if you need to help your child out of the car or out of their seat, it is highly encouraged that you please park your car and help them out and then walk them to a crosswalk. There's one up by the A door, and then there's one a little bit further down by the playground. There's 2 crosswalks we can use, but you have to use the crosswalk, and you cannot get out of your car during drop off or during pickup. For your safety, for the safety of the kids, and then for the safety for the people around you, because they have no idea what you're doing, right? At dismissal, we have name cards that, once we get back in person, I'll hand out to you. The color is really important because that tells us the grade level. So if you lose yours, just let me know, and I'd love to help you out with getting another one. Let's see. Oh, this one here, parents are asked not to enter car loading zone. So like when we're all outside at dismissal, once we're back in person, there's a grassy area right by the office that parents are asked to wait if they are on foot. And so just wait there patiently for your kid. They will be looking for you. It can be really confusing with so many people walking around while teachers are trying to load up kids. So it can be confusing, and it can be not very safe. Okay, and then finally, if after school plans change, if usually your kid walks home, but they're getting picked up by an aunt, just please call the front office so they can let us know. Sometimes I don't have access to my email all day long. A lot of my breaks are spent in meetings. So if you send me an email about a change with dismissal, there is a chance that I might not get that message before dismissal. So you're safest to just call the office. Oh my gosh, this is the last slide. So follow KTN social media. If you have a Facebook, we have a Facebook too. What PTO looks like this year? It's still a thing, you guys. Like PTO is still a thing, but as far as like how people can volunteer, we need to come up with some ideas that are way outside the box. And I have all the confidence in the world that we will, and that we'll pull it off, and that it will be successful. All right, so the last thing that I wanted to go over really quickly was, oh, now this thing is in the way of my address bar. actually, just to get the sense across that I'm being a really serious teacher right now, please, 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 please have your child practice getting onto Google Classroom, logging onto Clever, and then accessing different apps through Clever. So Epic or iReady or Amplify or Scholastic, even PBS Kids, the more time that they have navigating through that, the less time you will have to spend showing them, stopping what you're doing it for them or showing them again, and then getting back to your work. Because also what happens there is that we are all waiting for the last person to catch up, because I am not that teacher that is going to leave someone behind. If someone is telling me, if someone is feeling left out, I feel like I'm not really doing my job to the best of my ability. However, I will be getting more students in the flex model come the week of the 17th, because parents are choosing to not have their kids go back in person. So what that means for us is that I'm getting 5 or 6 or maybe 7 more kids, and I'm going to have to navigate through our routine faster than last week, faster than the week before, and faster than the week before that. So if your child is not fluent on how to navigate to and from Google Classroom and other areas of the internet, it is imperative that you take that time to show them and provide them with that space to practice that. Also, little things on like Google Slides, like practicing clicking on something and then dragging it and dropping it. I have some additional activities that I would like to shoot out to some kids that are kind of like Google Slides practice. Because some kids are like, oh, like they just are like naturally super curious about how all of it works. And they're like, oh, what does this do? Oh, that makes a text box. Oh, that makes a line. What do I do when I click this? And then other kids are like worried about messing up the entire thing, which I get, because like I was that kid. And so it's like really careful on how they navigate things. What ends up happening is those students take a lot longer than the kids that are like way out of this world with technology and stuff. So the last thing that I wanted to show, oh, look at my picture is so cool, you guys. The last thing I wanted to show was actually a couple of things. So when I'm going to sign into Google as a student, this is my own student. Oh no, but it still has me. So this is a problem that I've been encountering a lot. I hope this doesn't boot me off of Zoom. So far we're good, I think, guys. Let's just hope that it actually finishes recording. Okay, I'm going to sign in as a student because I want to show you how you can check your child's homework and how you can check to see what assignments they might be missing. Okay, so I'm going to go on to Google Classroom. Here's Miss Holden's class. Okay, here we go. So there's a couple of ways that we could do this, you guys. Right here, so this is our main page. This is a stream. This is where I'll post links for Zoom every day. This is also where I will post easy access links. So you may want to consider bookmarking some, if not all of those, for your child, and then making sure that they are visible in the toolbar. So right here, right underneath this really cool image that I made, there's it says upcoming. So it says due today, and then it has these assignments, and then due tomorrow, it has other assignments, okay? So if I click on here, view all, it is going to bring up my entire assignment list, okay? These are all of the things that your child will look different from this because some students have different assignments, okay? So if I look here, assigned does not mean that it wasn't completed. Assigned just means that it doesn't have a due date. So why these things don't have a due date is a really good question to ask your teacher. But the things that do have a due date, oftentimes will have the due date right here. Or maybe it does. Let me see. Oh, it does. It says due tomorrow. So I guess the things that have assigned are just things that are assigned that aren't due yet. And then anything that is missing will say missing in red. And then anything that is scored will have a score. Here's the thing, you guys. This is kind of important. But if it says not turned in, that means I went into your student's work and I graded it because I knew that it was done. Okay. So, and my interface looks a lot different than this, but once your work is graded, then, or I'm sorry, once your work is done, there's this page where you can submit your work, okay? Oftentimes, I will not get a notification that your work is done if it's not submitted. A lot of times, because what happens is it saves everything all the time. So you might be done with the work, and if you're done with the work, that's super great. But it's really important that you access that page and turn in the work. Let me show you what that might look like, okay? So I have like these Google Slides in a Google document. I go to view details, and I can be totally done with these, but not turn it in. And on my teacher's page, it'll say missing. So it's really important that when I'm done with my work, I will turn it in. Let's see, there's something else. So you can sort it by like all of the assignments that have been assigned. Assignments that are returned just means that I have graded them and sent them back to you for feedback. And then this is the tab where you'll find the missing assignments. Let me see. There's this format too. This might be a better one. So what I did, how I found this was I just clicked on these 3 lines. It was like the main menu. So I can go back to my class, right? And when I click on to do, it'll bring up this checklist, okay? So it looks like there's 10 things that I have that don't have due dates. There's 6 things that do have due dates and are due this week. So look, some of them aren't even mine. Oh, look at some of them Jacoby needs to do. Look at that. Plural noun practice, you guys. Anyway, so this might be a better format. Oh, independent place value practice. Jacoby Desmond. I hope you guys are okay with me rummaging through one of my own children's Google Classroom. Anyway, oh, the last thing I wanted to show you. So I'm back in our class, right? And then I clicked on classwork. I've developed this tab called homework, and any homework assignments that we have, I want to post here. All of the in-class stuff, I think I'm going to save for these different topics that are sort of by subject. But I think it's easy. It's just going to be easier for you guys to see to figure out what we have for homework if I post it up here. It should be a given that reading is every night at this point, okay? So if you didn't know that, like, that's totally fine. I don't think I've been super clear about it, but otherwise, please check Google Classroom for homework. And again, like, I would love to come up with like math on Mondays, science on Tuesdays, maybe social studies on Wednesdays, Thursdays, spelling, something like that. So that you know that there's something small that we need to do each day of the week to kind of like solidify learning and also, or maybe get in practice. All right, so I will send out a Google document. And I'm wondering if I should send it out to parent emails, or, you know, I'm just going to do it through Google Classroom. So I will send out a Google document. I'll assign it to your second grader, and I will provide space for you to ask questions about anything that hopefully you think that I can answer. And then I'm going to share it with everyone. So please keep it appropriate, parents and guardians. So please don't erase anything that anyone else has written. Be mindful of that if you can. I know technology is hard for some of us, but one more thing before I like sign off. I'm not going to say anything weird like click the like button or subscribe to my channel. Because I find those things to be really obnoxious. Really obnoxious. Before I sign off, so I want to say thank you for all of your grace and all of your patience through these first few weeks of school. I know that it has not been easy. You have amazing, 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 amazing second graders. Like, I am so happy that I have the group of kids that I have. They make my heart full every day. Oh, and then one more thing I was supposed to tell you, I told them that I would tell you guys this, is that if they have like any pictures or drawings or anything, because they've been like, look, Miss Holden, I made you this. Please, like, if you have 2 minutes to drive by the school and run it into the front office, the ladies in the front office are amazing. Like, they're incredible. And any drawings or pictures or anything that they've made for me, I like really want to hang up in my classroom. I do work from KTA. I work inside my classroom 2 days out of the week. And my walls, like some of my walls where I have like special areas designated for student artwork, it's really boring and plain, and I just need, like, I need more second grade rainbows in my life. Like, that's what I need in my classroom. And if they're willing to provide me with that, like, could you please, if you're willing to like maybe just drive to the school and drop it off, the ladies in the front office will bring it back to me, or they'll call me and be like, oh my gosh, you have more fan mail, Miss Holden. And that would be really funny too. Okay, guys, again, you're awesome, and I really, really, really appreciate it. If you guys ever have any problems or issues or questions that I, you know, maybe you think of them later after I take down the Google document or whatever, email me, text me, call me. Like, our communication and our correspondence is absolutely crucial to the benefit of your second grader. So in order for your second grader to be the most successful second grader, we need to be able to collaborate. And that is something that is super important to me, okay? Thank you so much. Enjoy your night. Thanks for taking the time to listen to me ramble on and listening endlessly. I appreciate it. Have a good night, you guys.